about NFTNYC this year?
I'm very excited about NFT.NYC. I am very traumatized that they only give us 10 minutes to talk. I wish it had been longer, but it was really great to get a chance to give people my perspective.
Of course. What buzzwords are you hearing this year, and what are you excited about?
There's only one. We both know there's only one. It's AI. That's it. They're talking about AI. I think that one is as big as people want it to be, and I think that combined with the blockchain really is transformational. And so my whole reason for being here is try to get people to understand how these two things are coming together, what it means, how to start planning for it in a way that's far more meaningful than the way that people have been treating NFTs, which are, essentially financial instruments, which I think is a fundamentally flawed way to look at it. So just trying to get people to understand there's something way cooler happening than I think they think, and they're already excited. But I think the emergent phenomenon of these two technologies coming together is it's going to bring the future forward that they wanted if they look at it in the right way.
Speaking of that future, there's a whole generation behind us that's coming forward, and you talk a lot about the impact theory and how they're going to come up with this just phenomena of technology that are colliding together. We have the blockchain, we have Web3, we have NFTs, and now we have AI. How do you see the intersection of these technologies coming together?
So the way I look at it is there is going to be an emergent phenomenon that comes out of the blockchain, which brings the properties of physics to the virtual world, and AI, which gives the ability for far deeper, far richer interactions with virtual characters. It's what we call borderless entertainment. You're no longer going to be confined to a computer, a console, your mobile phone, none of it. There is going to be a seamless handoff between the game world and the real world. And so if you think about Pokemon Go, but now married to the blockchain, married to deep story, so that's where I think all of this goes. It isn't like I'm making that up or I'm inventing or I'm trying to convince people to do it. That just is human nature when these things come together, when you can continue to interact with the stories that really mean something to you, whether you're in-game or out-of-game, people are just going to be more into that. And if they can have a far more immersive experience and build real relationships with the NPCs in a game, like that really becomes something. Like right now, NPC is a derogatory term, right? You use it as somebody who's sort of vacuous, they don't know what they're doing, but we now have AI has passed the Turing test. So you're gonna have video game characters that will pass the Turing test, where you're like, I feel like I'm talking to a real person. So that combined with that world now has quote unquote physics thanks to the blockchain. And so I want people thinking about that. So don't try to charge a bunch thinking that, oh my God, if I can just make my $4 million off the launch of my NFT collection, that's it. Like, who cares about that? The NFT needs to have consequences inside of this game world, and that's all that matters from an entertainment perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, you hear it from the expert right here. Tom, thank you so much. I know you have a busy schedule. Enjoy the rest of your event, and we'll see you very soon.
Sounds perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, I am here at day one NFTNYC with Idan from Upland, me, co-founder, CEO. How's it, co-CEO? How's it going today?
It's been going phenomenally well. I think having NFTNYC in one single place is really a treat. You get to meet everybody, very close by. So happy to be here.
We're all here in one building. That's exciting, right?
Amazing.
Idan, what are you excited about at this show?
So I'm excited, first of all, about talking about my two passions right now, which is first and foremost Upland, the biggest Web3 metaverse out there today. And also a new initiative that we are launching, which is called the Species Foundation, an initiative to map all species of life into digital forms so they can be adopted by any virtual world or game in the future metaverse.
You talk about Metaverse, and we see Metaverse becoming a lower barrier to entry to Web3. How do you want, I have a two-part question for you, and I want to bring AI into this too. How do you, first of all, see the mass adoption of the mainstream into the Metaverse where we are today? And then I want to ask you to bring AI into it as well.
Yeah, so I think the Metaverse is one of the first places where mass adoption will occur as it relates to Web3 technologies, just because of the how intuitive it is for people to understand. In Upland, for example, it's a metaverse that is mapped to the real world, right? So we have, for example, a partnership with the NFL Player Association. So, our players know when there's a football game going on, they know where to go because, the stadium is right there. So there's a lot of context in there that makes it very understandable and accessible for the masses, right? So that level of intuition really, really helps with mass adoption and kind of like, scaling up the usage of these underlying technologies that at the end of the day, consumers don't need to care about. They just interact, with the metaverse, with digital assets that are around them. And they are in full control. They truly own all their assets.
How do you get people excited about NFTs? You said sports and NFL. How does NFL, through you guys, get people excited about NFTs?
Yeah, so first of all, it's the NFL Player Association. It's not the NFL, but for that, with that example, we are producing, NFTs with the NFL players. So we have, about 2,500 players that actually have, these NFTs that are part of gamification, right? So it's not just about the collectability. It's about basically participating in gamified loops that have to do, and I want to go into the ins and outs, and you can absolutely check it out, but everything has utility and is contextual. So at the end of the day, you need those NFTs to be part of a gameplay. And at the end of it, they are also tradable. So that's the power of true ownership in an open economy, because once you're playing, you can also basically utilize and resell those assets to other players if you want to do it. You can become an entrepreneur. You can open these shops that resell these. We call them NFLPA legits. And similar to that, we have other brands as well. So we have a partnership also with the FIFA World Cup, for example. So you can actually, as part of the gamification loop with the FIFA World Cup, you could actually own Messi's last goal of his career in the World Cup in Upland as an NFT. So that was kind of like one of the grand prizes in the gamification process. And then once you own it, you can decide either you want to keep it for life or you can actually trade it.
And that is exactly how you get people excited. One last question I have for you, and that is the intersection of metaverse and AI. We haven't even built the metaverse yet, and we're talking about AI. How do you see these two coming together, and why should people care?
I think people should absolutely care because, again, there's a lot of AI hype today, and you can see how that kind of like starts to help you improve and make processes more efficient. But for the metaverse, one of the exciting elements is basically making user-generated creation more accessible and more democratized to the masses. Because now, before AI, if I had an idea and I wanted to create some cool NFTs, maybe in Upland, maybe in other places in the world, I needed to either have design skills or 3D modeling skills, or I would need to hire a designer. With AI, we're starting to see the spark of accessibility where now, machines can actually do the first, the heavy lifting, but then I can only finalize and make it basically production ready. So to me, it's all about, democratizing the power of user-generated design, and this will help us start creating more jobs in the metaverse. So people are actually going to spend times of their life in the metaverse, but also make a living out of it. And it may start as a side income, and at the end of the day, we're going to see professions that kind of like are created in the metaverse, and a lot of them will be based on AI.
Idan, thank you so much for your insight, and this is a very exciting time, and this is exactly why we need to be paying attention. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, Gareb, day one, NFTNYC, main stage, you just got off the stage. How was it? How excited are you to be here?
Oh my God, NFTNYC is like old home week for me. I get to see everybody that I've been friends with, that I talk to, that I Twitter with, or all year round. Yeah. So it's great because also it's a camaraderie. Everybody's here together, and all the best ideas come together when people are in person.
What are you excited about? That's what I want to know.
For me, it's always about the future, and I think we've got this new incredible toy to play with called AI. So it really enables people to do things that they only could imagine doing or they needed other people to do for them. So I think the impact that AI is going to have on the Web3 world is just going to be spectacular.
And I want to ask you a question about that, but before I do, the latter part of your conversation on the stage was about this top-down approach that media has had for decades now, where big companies and algorithms dictate what we're watching. Web3 is changing that. Can you kind of explain to the viewers how is that changing and why should they be paying attention to this next iteration of media?
Well, everything is about Web3 and ownership. And for the biggest time, and for the longest time, these big media companies are the ones that benefit the most from all the content that they create, but it doesn't go back to the fans that are helping create that value. Right. And Web3 is enabling fans to benefit from that value. So the more the systems are set up that the more successful storytelling and properties and franchises become, that the fans benefit from the success and not the big companies. That's what's going to permeate throughout the industry. And then again, you have the big companies dictating the IP that people have to watch or that people have to consume. And a lot of times it's dictated by people that may not know any better than you or I, right? So take these TV networks, they decide what programming goes on, but it goes through a programming director. What's to say that they know anything more about, they're not an expert in my world, but yet they tell me that I can't put on a TV show. And yet what I do gets more audience than what they get. So it's like, to me, it doesn't make sense that people like that control what others see. And all that power, and we've seen it through social media, we're seeing it through algorithmic stuff, and now eventually you'll see it through AI.
Game changer. And another game changer that you just mentioned is AI. We're still trying to figure out Web3 and build Web3, and here is AI come in as well. How do you see this intersection of Web3 and AI contributing to what we're talking about right now?
Well, to me, AI has completely poured as much gasoline on that fire as you can imagine, because everything is about fans participating in the success of these properties and franchises and things like that. But the biggest problem is that people don't feel like they can contribute effectively because they may not be an artist, they may not be a writer, they may not have the tools to expand those worlds in a way that they feel is compelling.
Yeah.
By having access to AI, they could be their own writers, they could be their own artists, and they can now contribute in a way that they've never been able to contribute before. So you're going to take what's right now a very, very small participation rate, and the minute you start growing that into a larger participation rate, the amount of material that's going to come out is just going to keep growing and growing.
Wow, I mean, what we're building is a participatory next iteration of media that is still in the making. Thank you so much for your insights.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And enjoy the rest of the event. You have 2 days left.
Yeah, oh my God, it's going to be great to just keep iterating with people and ideating on all this incredible stuff coming out.
Well, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, guys, we are at NFTNYC Day 2. I am Meta Mona with MetaverseXpress, and I am here with Bad Media folks. We have Joel right here, and we have Travis. It's like double trouble. I'm in the middle of double trouble. Let me start. Well, you both just got off the stage. Joel, let me start with you. How did it go? What was the sentiment like?
I think it went well. My sentiment was very positive. I had a good time. We tried to drop some value bombs talking about the past, the present, and the future of NFTs, where this whole Web3 world is going.
What about you? How was today? How was your talk on stage?
I think, what I was most impressed with is that we ended right at 0:1. We're like, boom, we were done. Like, we timed it perfectly. So the rest of it might not have been great, but at least we ended it perfectly. So I think it was perfect.
What is the buzzword this year? What is it that you're hearing most this year compared to last year when it comes to NFTs?
There's nothing new that people are saying, right? But it seems like the main thing everybody is striving for now more than ever is utility. But that's not new. We've been harping on utility for years. You have got to add value to your collection. They're the only artists, right, that are putting on art for art's sake are free from these constraints. And even they should be looking at how do we add additional value to those who care enough to invest in our artwork.
Travis, crypto people talk to crypto people in crypto language. If we want to attract mass adoption, how do we get the folks out there, the 90% of the folks who don't know anything about crypto, excited about NFTs?
Right. Well, I think that term has been poisoned. NFTs are like, oh man, they're so expensive. Oh, it wastes too much. It's bad for the environment. And there's really the solutions are, choosing the right chain, right? And how I would say it is, it's not so much an NFT, which is non-fungible token. What does that mean to most people? It means nothing. However, digital asset ownership, owning these digital assets, everyone's familiar. They have kids that play Roblox, or they have Minecraft, or they played any of these games, these little in-game assets. Those are all little tokens. Those can be digital assets that can be owned, traded. And so as In America, the sentiment for this kind of space is at about 15%, but in Southeast Asia, it's near 70%. So they see the technology, they understand it. There are more Web3 wallets activated in Southeast Asia, comparatively speaking, than anywhere else in the world. So some places are getting it, some places are not getting it, but you have to understand it's digital assets. They're not going away, right? We all have a phone, we all have these assets, and so they just got to understand it, and it's got to be spoken to them more clearly.
Joel, you brought up on stage the intersection of AI and NFTs. Tell us a little bit about that. We haven't really defined NFTs in Web3. We're still building it, and here comes AI, right? So tell us a little bit about the intersection of NFTs and AI, and where is that going?
Well, you know, if you are not a natural artist and able to create artwork for your NFTs, Midjourney is just your friend. I'm able to create amazing artwork now in 60 seconds, and Travis has become the master, you know, learning. It used to be that we said if you couldn't get a job that you should learn to code, which offended some people. Well, it turns out that was bad advice, because what you really need to do is learn to prompt. It's knowing how to feed AI the prompts that are going to get the results you want. And we're going to see all kinds of AI-generated collections. We've actually done one with our Blockchain Heroes collection already. We took 37 of our heroes and villains and put them through a tool called Kyber, which turns them into an animated variation of your NFT, and we made them available to our users for free. So what it does is, I think, is it creates this this point of activity. And you know, what can we do with this now? There's a new toy. How do we play with it?
Yeah, exactly. Last question for both of you. What are you excited about?
I'm excited about where things could potentially go to educate, to inspire, and entertain, to use some of these technologies to actually, how can we make the world a little better, right? Because there's a lot of negativity that goes on, there's a lot of division, but how can we unite? And I think some of these technologies can be used to do some of that, so we just gotta find the right recipe.
Joel, what are you excited about?
Speaking of recipes, I'm excited about chocolate cake.
Me too.
It's a forever thing. Cake and ice cream always excites me. And you know, as you have a metaverse show, I am excited to see who does the metaverse right. And I don't know, honestly, that I ever want to see the true metaverse where it's all one interconnected thing. I'm not sure that would be good. I love the free market. I love capitalism. I love competition. So I just wish we could stop calling it the metaverse and just say we're building a virtual world, or we're building a verse of our own.
Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes I ask builders, who is going to build the ideal metaverse environment? And it's really about building a digital environment where people are willing to spend hours on end going shopping, meeting their friends, buying art, watching a movie, going to a Snoop concert. So to bring all these entertainment, educational opportunities where people don't want to leave those environments. And I don't think it's going to be who is going to, because I believe there's going to be multiple, maybe a few metaverses, but I think that the key is to create a digital environment where people want to spend time.
I think that maybe COVID sort of sped up the process a little bit because people were staying at home and they were so I think that's how the metaverse got a little overblown, because it wasn't quite ready for prime time yet. And so people are like, oh, what do we do? Oh, we don't do it. However, eventually with AI, with the spatial web, we're going to be able to tell AI exactly what we want in the spatial web. It's going to build it for us. We're going to be able to spend time in these really cool worlds that we created with our imagination. That's not too far away. And so some of the existing stuff that was there, not as cool, but it will get really cool way quicker than you probably think.
I just had a SpongeBob moment. Imagination.
It is all about imagination, and that's why we're here at NFTNYC. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. And by the way, where can people follow you guys?
So badmedia.io is our site that houses all of our podcasts, our NFT collections, and whatever else that Travis and I are into.
All right, Travis, any last words?
All right, just stay corny.
You heard it. Thank you guys so much.
Cut.